it. But if you're expecting me to tutor 6 children, then I'll be negotiating my salary. She stood from her desk and held out her hand. Just one student, Jayne. However, there is one more step in the interview process. An on-site interview in London. I hope you have a passport. How quickly can you be ready? I thought about the daily rate motel room where I was staying. All of my possessions could be packed in 10 minutes. I do have a passport and I could leave today, I answered, and she smiled. Excellent. Well, Jayne Burns, pack your bag. You're going to London. I stood outside Heathrow Airport and stared at the bleak clouds and unending line of traffic. Overhead, the engines of departing planes shrieked as they thrust thousands of pounds of metal into the sky. I resisted the urge to cover my ears the way I had when I was a little girl and became easily overwhelmed. The agency told me they'd have a car waiting, but when I'd emerged from customs into the arrivals gate, no one was there. So now, here I stood, exhausted, anxious, and righteously indignant. It was the last emotion I held on to the tightest. I'd done my part flying across the world for a job interview. The least the agency could have done was make sure I had a ride. I sighed and pulled my cell phone from my pocket. Lowood International Care Agency. I connected the number and held the phone to my ear. Lowood International Care Agency. The rest of the woman's words were cut off when a plane shrieked overhead. Yes. I stuck a finger in my ear and propped the phone against my shoulder as I tugged my luggage back inside the airport. Hello, this is Jayne Burns. Miss Burns, the receptionist sighed. Miss Burns, your driver is searching for you. Where are you? My stomach clenched and I gritted my teeth. I'm at International Arrivals. I forced myself to answer politely. No one was... Someone tapped me on the shoulder and I turned. A man in suit stepped back and flashed a sign at me. Jayne Burns. Never mind, he's found me.
I believe your instructions would await at the arrivals gate.
The older man spoke so quickly I could barely understand him. However, his sneer was universally understood. I apologize. He made a noise and reached for my bag. If he hadn't surprised me or been so rude, I'd have warned him that there was a certain trick to it, that if he twisted his wrist just so, then the thing would stay together. But one wrong wrench, and... The driver grunted and blushed when the handle detached from the body.
I'm so sorry,
he said. Pushing down on the plastic, he attempted to insert the telescoping handle back. Let me, I said, taking it from him and easily sliding the handle into place. It's old. I could have let him suffer in his embarrassment, but there was no reason. He'd probably been hauled over the coals for not meeting me. And if he was rude, well, I didn't have to be rude too. I followed him outside, across the lines of traffic, to a small black car. He opened the trunk and eyed my suitcase a little nervously. I'll get it, I said, and put it inside.
I apologize, Mom.
He said, It's all right, I assured him. Like I said, the bag is old. He stared at me and shook his head.
No, it's...
Trailing off, he shut the trunk. Whatever he was going to say, he didn't, and instead opened the car door, waiting for me to get in.
It's about an hour into London, depending on traffic, Miss Burns.
All right. I got into the car and leaned back into the seat. It smelled like cigarette smoke and exhaust, but it was soft, and after the 7-hour flight, it was all I needed to fall asleep.
Miss Burns.
I opened my eyes, blinking rapidly.
We're here, Miss Burns.
The last thing I remembered was staring at the airport doors as we'd pulled away from the terminal. I glanced down at myself, taking in my wool coat and black slacks. I'd used the restroom when I got off the plane, but barely glanced in a mirror since boarding in New York. Biting back the urge to ask my driver how I looked, I smoothed my hair behind my ears and unbuckled my belt. Thank you. Will you open the trunk so I can get my bag?